Greetings students. Today we are going to learn about one of USA's leading apparel company, Gap. Most of us at least once must have heard the name of the company Gap. Let us know this company in a much better way. Gap, commonly known as Gap Inc. or The Gap, is an American multinational clothing and accessories retailer. It was founded in 1969 by Donald G. Fisher and Doris F. Fisher and is currently headquartered in San Francisco, California. The company operates 5 primary divisions: the namesake banner, Banana Republic, Old Navy, Piperlime, and Athleta. Gap Inc. was surpassed by Spanish-based Inditex Group as the world's largest apparel retailer, though it remains the largest specialty retailer in the United States. As of September 2008, the company has approximately 135 lakh employees and operates 3,076 stores worldwide, of which 2,551 are located in the US.
I see confidence and eager to see the Gap opening in China.
This is probably the biggest fashion news for a long time.
The American clothing stable Gap are making their move to Australia.
I heard it on the radio the other day. It's what we need.
This will really change the way we shop.
They're ready for us. We know where we're going to be, we understand the market. Now it's going to be about us actually landing all of that together. It's just going to be exciting.
They got over 300 cities with over and above 1 million people population within China. So the opportunity for Gap in China is phenomenal.
The opening of Italy is so strategically important to us because it paves the way to Western Europe. Global online, Canada on-site, Europe on-site, China third party, and then the rest of the world. That's our strategy for victory. Going in with the brand, going in with outlet, going in with online, growth with confidence.
Donald and Doris Fisher opened the first Gap store on Ocean Avenue in San Francisco on August 21, 1969. Its merchandise consisted of Levi's and LP Records. They had raised $63,000 to open the store and reached $2 million in sales in the first year of operation. In 1970, Gap opened its second store in San Jose, California, and established its corporate headquarters in Burlingame, California, with 4 employees. By 1973, the company had over 25 locations and had expanded into the East Coast market with a store in the Echelon Mall in Voorhees, New Jersey. In 1974, Gap began to sell private label merchandise. In October 2011, Gap Inc. announced plans to close 189 US stores, nearly 20% by the end of 2013. However, it also plans to expand its presence in China. The company announced it would open its first store in Brazil in the fall of 2013.
Growing up, all I wanted was to fit in and be like everybody else and quote-unquote normal. And looking back, I realized that I made myself really unhappy living this way because I was living my life based on other people's standards. And their opinions of me and my fear of their opinions of me were more important than what I thought of myself.
I remember there's times walking down the street and people just stop and stare and just try to figure out if I'm a boy or a girl. But to me, I just keep walking and I just brush it off because in the end, I know who I am and you know who you are.
Even bullies have been bullied, and that's the only reason why they're spreading the torment and the fear onto other kids who they see as themselves a long time ago. Just remember that after high school, it does get better.
I remember growing up having a hard time dealing with who I was. You know, several times I thought about running away from home and even thoughts of suicide. Even up until college, I think I still felt that way and having trouble coping with it. I know that I even made my parents cry at sometimes, but I just want you to know that it does get better. I'm still standing here, and I'm proof of that.
There are many of us who are in the same situation, who might have the same story, and just when it seems that things are so rough and things will never get better, it will absolutely get better.
No one can change who you are other than yourself. And why should you change, especially when it comes to sexuality?
Someone out there wants to fall in love with you. And someone out there wants to be your best friend. So stick around and see what it's like when it gets better.
And we really need you here to help it continue to get better. So stick around. You're loved and you're worth being loved. And we're really glad that you're here.
I grew up in a very religious environment, and the church was the most important thing to me when I was a kid and as a young adult. And for a lot of years I heard the message over and over again that God hates gay people, that AIDS was God's punishment to gays, and that all gays are going to die of AIDS. When I was 17 years old, still really confused, and who isn't at 17, I remember the preacher of our church got up on a Sunday night and pointed at me and said he didn't want any fags in his church. And that family of the church was so important to me, and it devastated me, and it hurt for a lot of years. But what I learned is that in time,
Gap Inc. owns a trademark to its name, Gap. The Gap's original trademark was a service mark for retail clothing store services. The application was filed with the United States Patent and Trademark Office on February 29, 1972 by the Gap stores. Registration was granted on October 10, 1972. The first use of the trademark was on August 23, 1969 and expanded to commercial usage on October 17, 1969. A second application was filed by Gap Stores Inc. on September 12, 1974, this time for a trademark filed for shirts. The first usage for shirts and clothing products was on June 25, 1974. Trademark registration was granted on December 28, 1976. Both the service mark and trademark was registered and owned by Gap Apparel LLC of San Francisco, California. On October 6, 2010, in an effort to establish a contemporary presence, Gap introduced a new logo. It was designed with Helvetica font and reduced the prominence of the brand's iconic blue box. After much public outcry, the company reverted to its previous blue box logo on October 12 after less than a week in use. Marco Hansen, the executive who oversaw the logo change, resigned February 1, 2011. Banana Republic, a small safari-themed clothing retailer, was purchased by Gap in 1983 and was rebranded as an upscale clothing retailer in the late 1980s. Old Navy was launched in 1994 as a value chain with a specialty flair. Fourth and Town, the company's fourth traditional retail concept, was launched on August 24, 2005, featuring apparel targeted toward women 35 years and older. On February 26, 2007, after an 18-month trial period, it was discontinued and the 19 stores were closed. A fifth brand, the online clothing and accessories retailer Piperlime, was created in 2006. A sixth brand, Athleta, a women's athletic wear line, was added in 2009. The Gap originally targeted the younger generation when it opened, with its name referring to the generation gap of the time. It originally sold signature blue jeans and white cotton t-shirts and later expanded to include clothing for men, women and children. Gap's current market works to appeal to a broad demographic of customers, whereas Banana Republic presents a sophisticated image and Old Navy focuses fun, fashion and value for families and younger customers. While the company has been criticized for blandness and uniformity in its selling environments, it maintains that it tailors its stores to appeal to unique markets by developing multiple formats and designs. The domain www.gap.com attracts over 18 million visitors annually, according to a 2008 Compete.com survey. US retailer Gap Inc.'s refusal to sign an agreement designed to improve safety conditions in Bangladesh's garment factories has been condemned by politicians, charities and trade unions. Retailers including H&M, Marks & Spencer, Tesco, Primark, Zara's parent company Inditex, Mango, Benetton and PVH, owner of Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger, are among those which have signed up to the new plan to improve conditions in factories and prevent disasters such as the building collapse at the Rana Plaza factory complex, which killed 1,127 people. But Gap Inc., owner of high street retailer Gap, among other brands, is refusing to sign. The deadline for companies to approve the plan is set for midnight this evening. Other major US retailers such as Walmart have also not signed. Gap was not linked to the factories in the Rana Plaza complex but works with almost 80 factories in Bangladesh. Gap garments were found in a fatal factory fire in the country just over 2 years ago. The new agreement negotiated by retailers and trade unions will be the first to get multinationals to commit to help fund fire safety and building improvements in factories they work with or terminate their contracts if repairs cannot be made. Gap said it was ready to sign onto the agreement but first wanted to change in the way disputes are resolved in the courts. So, students, we went through the company's history to its present market scenario. Hope you must have got useful information about the company. Have a nice day. Goodbye.